2020 cricket, it wasn't just some new format. No, it was a full-blown revolution that totally redrew the map of the sport. And right at the center of it all are two titans: India's high-octane, super glamorous IPL and Australia's fan favorite, the Big Bash League. They play the same game, sure, but as we're about to find out, they represent two completely different visions for the future of cricket.
So, here's what we're going to break down. First, we'll get into the core philosophies that make these leagues so different from each other. Then, we're going to follow the money. After that, we'll see how they get their players, look at the cool ways they're changing the game on the field, and finally, we'll check out their huge influence on cricket around the world.
And right off the bat, the difference in sheer scale is, well, it's staggering. The IPL, which kicked off in 2008, is now valued at almost $10 billion. The BBL, which came a few years later, is still a powerhouse at $2.5 billion, but you can see immediately we're talking about two completely different financial worlds.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this is really where it all begins. To properly get what the IPL and the BBL are all about, you have to understand their DNA. I mean, they weren't just built differently, they were built with totally different goals in mind from the very start.
This slide right here, it explains literally everything else we're going to talk about. The IPL was designed from day one to be a commercial supernova. The BCCI runs it, but the teams are owned by huge private companies, and the goal is simple: make as much money as possible on a global scale. The BBL, on the other hand, was built to be the heart of the Australian summer. Its teams are owned by the state cricket associations, and its whole mission is to get families out to the game and grow cricket from the ground up.
And that difference in purpose leads directly to this massive strategic advantage for the IPL. It's the calendar king. The entire world of cricket literally just stops for 2 months so the IPL can happen. That means every single top player is available. The BBL has to compete with international tours, which means it often can't even get Australia's own biggest stars, let alone the best from overseas.
All right, let's follow the money, because when you really start comparing the financial engines of these two leagues, you truly understand the scale of the IPL's global power. So, as we saw, the IPL's total value is a colossal $9.6 billion. In the business world, they'd call that a decacorn, a private company worth over $10 billion. It puts it in a super elite club of sports properties around the world. In fact, if you break it down per match, its value is second only to the NFL. Think about that.
So you're probably wondering, where does all that cash come from? Well, mostly it comes from this number. The IPL's media rights sold for a mind-bending $6.4 billion for just 4 years. This one deal is the rocket fuel that powers the entire league.
Now, by contrast, the BBL's media deal is a very healthy $1.5 billion. But notice, that's for a 7-year period. It gives Australian cricket some fantastic long-term stability for sure, but it just shows you that the league is operating on a completely different financial planet.
And this chart breaks it down perfectly. When you look at the day-to-day reality, a single IPL match brings in around $16 million just from broadcast revenue. A BBL match? About $5 million. Now, both of those are incredible numbers, don't get me wrong, but the IPL is just in another stratosphere.
So let's just pause on this table for a sec, because it lays it all out. You see the massive gap in value, in revenue? But that last row, that's the real story. The IPL's lifeblood is its giant broadcast deals. The BBL, while it definitely needs TV, fundamentally relies on what it does best: packing the stadiums and building strong local support. It's a broadcast giant versus a community giant.
Okay, so how does all this money stuff directly affect how they get their players? Well, it creates two totally different systems for signing the big stars. You've got a high-stakes, open market on one side and a controlled system built for balance on the other.
First things first, let's just be crystal clear on what we're talking about. The IPL uses an auction. Think of it like a free-for-all marketplace where teams can just spend huge money to outbid each other. The BBL uses a draft. That's a much more structured, regulated process where teams pick players in a set order for salaries that are already decided.
In the IPL auction, man, it's not just a way to recruit players. It's a core part of the entertainment. It's this televised, high-drama event where a player's value can go through the roof in minutes, and guys become millionaires just with the raise of a little paddle. It is pure, market-driven theater.
And even when they try to put some rules in place to control the spending, the numbers are just astronomical. The league recently put a cap on the max salary for an overseas player at about $2.1 million US. And get this, that's considered them showing restraint.
And then you've got the BBL,
A top-tier platinum player in their draft makes a max of about $275,000 US. So just think about that. The BBL's highest-paid import makes about 1/8 of what the IPL has as its capped salary. That one comparison tells you everything you need to know about the difference.
But hey, it's not just about the money. These two leagues have become the world's premier science labs for T20 cricket. They're introducing new rules and tactics that are literally changing how the game is played right in front of our eyes.
And right here, you can see their two philosophies reflected on the field. The IPL brought in the impact player, which is basically a substitute that lets you bring in a specialist. The result? Batting lineups are deeper, so teams just attack nonstop. The BBL, on the other hand, pioneered the power surge, which is this cool, flexible two-over power play you can use later in the innings. It adds this fascinating layer of tactics. It's kind of like more fireworks versus more chess. And the effect of that impact player on the field has been absolutely dramatic. I mean, look at this. Before the rule, back in 2022, about 12% of IPL innings went past 200 runs. By 2025, that number had exploded to almost 37%. The game has been fundamentally re-engineered to favor the batters.
And that incredible shift is why you see comments like this from cricket legends like Herschel Gibbs. The BBL, with its bigger grounds and without that extra specialist batter, is widely seen as keeping that more traditional and maybe more balanced contest between the bat and the ball alive.
Okay, so for our last section, let's zoom out a bit. Because the IPL and the BBL aren't just competing in their own backyards. They're actively exporting their own unique models and shaping the future of cricket all around the globe. And this is a really critical distinction. The IPL is exporting a business model. Its super powerful franchise owners are buying up teams in new T20 leagues everywhere, South Africa, the US, the UAE, creating this huge global network. The BBL, on the other hand, is exporting an experience model. Its focus on that family-friendly vibe, fan engagement, and cool tech. That's what's being copied by leagues all over the world. And as we look ahead, both leagues are at a pretty critical crossroads. The IPL needs to find new money after a ban on a key sponsorship group. The BBL is actually thinking about private investment just to keep up financially, and they've already made their season shorter, basically making a bet that less is more, that scarcity will make each game more valuable.
Which leaves us with this one fascinating question for the future. In a world where sport just gets more and more commercial every single day, is the IPL's money-first, entertainment-heavy model the only template that can really win? Or does the BBL's fan-first, community-driven approach offer a different, and maybe even a more sustainable path forward for professional sports leagues everywhere?